Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Enough is enough. This has to stop. You can call it what you want. I'm just going to call it pure incompetence. Another Monday morning talking about the sweeping under the carpet that happens every week in relation to the Premier League officiating. And look, people are going to say cry more and all this because it happened to Man United. But 2 weeks ago, or how many weeks ago, it happened to Arsenal against Brentford, forgetting to draw the lines. This is not exclusive. And it's so narrow-minded if you're a football fan, laughing at Man United, laughing at Arsenal, laughing at Chelsea, because it's coming to a club near you. You will be victim to this because they're not on your side. The officiating, the Premier League, the referees, they're all in it together. They will stab the clubs in the back. They will stab the fans in the back. All right, you might be laughing because it happened to Man United this week, but next week it might happen to Man City. The weekend after it might happen to Liverpool. What am I going to do? Laugh at you? No, I'm going to call it out because it has to be called out. I predicted this morning on Sky Sports, every Monday morning, they roll out Dermot Gallagher, who basically just spends a couple of minutes backing up his ex-colleagues. And he had the gall to laugh about it today as well. I mean, he's talking about the handball that Southampton committed. Like, basically, the cross comes in. Walker Peters? I can't remember what Southampton player it was. They're falling over, and he's laughing as he says it. He says it's a really strange one. How can it be a penalty when it hits his chest and he's trying to move his arm out the way? Oh my God! You are so up the arse of your fellow colleagues that you can't even understand how the game of football works, mate. It doesn't hit his chest, it hits his arm. It's the same as the bloody goal that Betis should not have scored the other day. It's chest and arm, he hits his arm. And the reason he's trying to move his arm away is because he knows it's bloody hitting his arm. And he also knows if it hits his arm, it's going to be a penalty. And you've got Dermot Gallagher going, nah, not a penalty for me. I've looked at it and it's a strange decision because, you know what, the ball's travelled, he's trying his best to move his hand out the way, it's hit his chest, that's not a penalty for me. That's not a penalty for me. I'm like a robot that's basically going to back up every bad decision from the weekend and come on national TV and try and infect the mind of idiots. And then you've got two Scousers. Well, I'll talk about them in a minute. But that's just ridiculous. Anybody with a brain, if you ran a poll, is that a handball? The only people who are going to vote no, it's not, is Dermot Gallagher, referees, Southampton fans, and anyone who hates Manchester United. But if that happens next week at Anfield, Stamford Bridge, Brighton, they'll all be saying that's a penalty, why haven't we got it? But they're laughing about it. Oh yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny to have incompetence in the best league in the world. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. What a great idea that is. Come on the show in the morning and smile and laugh about it in a smug, sanctimonious way. Because I tell you what, it doesn't really impact millions of people's lives and millions of pounds in relation to relegation and top four, does it? It's a joke. And the way they just sweep it on, they're such a set of arrogant people. They're so bloody arrogant. They are a select few people who dictate everybody's weekends. Millions and millions of people. And they think it's funny. They think, because they're so protected. We need independent regulators in football. We need independent regulators on officiating. This is mega bucks. But I'm not interested in the money. This is millions and millions and millions of people every weekend having it destroyed by not flip-flops. They should be sponsored by flip-flops. Look, the Casemiro thing. He saw the Casemiro tackle, Dermot Gallagher. They got Stephen Warnock, Scouser, and another Scouser in the studio. And they're all going, yeah, could have broke his leg. It's reckless. The red card's right. Not one of them has got the brains to say, whoa. Did you not see Andre Mariner tell Anthony Taylor to change it from a yellow to a red? Yes, I did. And it's the right decision. Was Andre Mariner not the referee for Chelsea-Leicester 24 hours before, where Pereira doesn't even get the ball and stamps down on João Felix's ankle? Not even a yellow card, not even reviewed. And what about the Amate thing? And there was another tackle as well. Well, at the end of the day, it's a red card in the Cas. And it's just like, I can't speak. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. We are being treated like bloody idiots. They come out with some robotic answer and we're meant to go, oh, it's fine. There's a major issue this weekend in the Premier League. There is a VAR referee at Old Trafford who's told a referee to change it from yellow to red, but 24 hours before he's refereeing a game himself and he's not giving red cards for the things he's now saying is a red. That is, well, I've heard the word fraud, corrupt, incompetence. There's something going on there. It can't just be, oh, roll Dermot out onto Sky or get the other prat from bloody BT and tell him it's not a red card. Football fans are educated. Football fans consume football in a way that we never have done before. We want consistency. We want, if Pereira gets a red card and Amate gets a red card and Casemiro gets a red card, we can all collectively moan about whether they're red cards, but at least there is consistency. You're dealing with the same official across 2 days. It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. You got it a couple of weeks ago with Arsenal and a few weeks ago with the lines. It's happened to Brighton. It's happened to Spurs. It will happen to Liverpool. It's happening to everybody. VAR is not the problem. The technology is not the problem. It's like putting your gran behind a fast car and expecting it to, break speed limits. It will not. It will stick to the speed limit because they're not very, your gran might be dead, or she might not be a very good driver, or your granddad. But my point is, if you put incompetence behind technology, is the technology to blame or is it the incompetence? And that's what we're staring at here. I'm so frustrated with this. I'm so frustrated with it because I think in life, one of the things that really frustrates people is the lack of consistency and the lack of accountability. It's really frustrating because I knew exactly what was going to happen today. You're going to get people saying, it's a red card, it's a red card, it's a red card, and it wasn't a penalty. And then we just move on and we get, we're treated like the mushrooms. Get back in the cupboard, stay in the dark, we'll feed you shit. And that's what it feels like but we know we're right. We know we are right. We know that the officiating is hypocritical, it is inconsistent, and it is incompetent. And that is why words such as fraudulent and corrupt are now starting to slip in. We've seen what's happened with the charges with Barcelona. We know it's not beyond the realms of possibility that officials can be got at. I don't think that's happening in the Premier League. I don't think they're being paid off. I don't think they'd be able to give you the bank details. They're so incompetent, let alone bloody withdraw it. But I think we have got a major issue which exists in life, which is, you'll see it in loads of organisations. It's mates race. It's protect the incompetence. You see it in politics all the time. Let's close the shop. Let's tell everybody we're great, and let's not acknowledge that it's gone. I think this season has been the best Premier League season we've ever had. Imagine how good it could have been if we'd had decent, competent officiating. There is, without doubt, the officiating this year is the worst I've ever known it, and it seems to be getting worse. I could not get my words out quick enough yesterday when I realised that Andre Mariner was the VAR referee, telling Anthony Taylor to send Casemiro off. And I remembered he was the referee on the pitch for the Chelsea game, letting disgusting tackles go. It's just, and somebody'd say, well, maybe they had a word with him on Saturday night. You don't do that halfway through a game week. God, no. Get through the game week. Don't start telling him to referee differently the next day. It's disgusting because basically Leicester get away with it and Man United don't. But there's a bigger picture here, everybody. And as I said, I've had enough of it. I really have had enough of it. And you know what? You know what's compounded by it as well? We've had Match of the Day this weekend that's been, took off air. I've listened to the radio today, Martin Keown. I've listened to Sky Sports this morning, more ex-players. I just think they're so riddled with bias. And they're just... It's because it's Man United. You've got a Liverpool player and an Arsenal ex-player talking about, it's definitely a red card. And I'm like, if it's an Arsenal player or a Liverpool player, you're going to say something completely different. That's what I love about this community is that, we all have support. We all have support for clubs, but we also consume football in general. There is no way, if Xhaka got sent off for that tackle yesterday by Mariner, if he'd refereed that Chelsea game, I wouldn't be here saying it's a disgrace. How can he change his opinion on tackles over the weekend? And this is the problem. It's not just officiating. That's a very big separate problem. It's the mainstream media and the way they can, the way they it's just lazy. It's lazy. And we keep calling it out, don't we? Martinez is too small and, Conte's a bad manager when he could get Spurs fourth for the second time in 18 months in a club that's really got problems. It's just lazy analysis and bias. And, I just think, I don't know what the future is for mainstream, but God, it's boring. You can predict it before you even watch it. It's like watching a goldfish go around a bowl. You know, it's just boring, bias, lack of research. And the sad thing is they've got people in their ear giving them information, but it's the same people who've been giving them the information for years. It's safe, dull, inaccurate, and boring. And, you know, thank God that we have social media and stuff, because, all right, you know, sometimes people are wildly off, but at least we can vent in a way that we never bloody could, because it was just a closed shop. They're looking stupid. And you know, how's it going to stop? Because they all protect each other. Disgusting. And look, I'm not even going to not sit here and say, you know, if you want to give Casemiro a red card, give him a red card. For me, it never is a red card. I just don't think it's a red card. I think the slow-mo, the angle, it's a load of nonsense. But it's definitely not a 4-game ban. And on top of that, it's victimisation. Man United are going to lose a player for 4 games because an incompetent referee decided to change his mind from 24 hours earlier. How can that be right? You've got to cling on to consistency and competence. And I've just watched Sky this morning. They've not even spoken about that. There's been no acknowledgement. It's piss poor journalism from a mainstream provider that pumps money into the Premier League. It is terrible journalism, and it is terrible closing of the shop and protecting each other. How can he not be asked about how a referee who has told the referee it's a red card for Casemiro, but the day before has let 3 go? How can that happen, Dermot? And that question can't be asked. Therefore, we're being conned. We, the consumer, are being conned, because we are getting scripted, diluted, manipulated content. That is what we are getting. We are not getting real content unless you come to places like this. Get your comments in, smash the like on the video. Interested to read them. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll speak to you in a bit.